What's up guys, this is Vanilla. Not the flavor, but just as sweet. So today I'm gonna do a roundup of this season's anime series. But first, can you count how many titles there have been for this season? Don't worry, I'll wait. It's 31. Yes, that many titles. And because there's so many, I can only watch like half of the total number. Still, most of the shows they premiered this season had a lot of potential. Also, keep in mind, I'm also adding series that started last season and ended this season. It is a roundup after all. Let's get started. Let's start with Berserk. After decades since the original series ended, the badass swordsman returns in an adaptation that looks like a cutscene from a video game. A lot of people had high hopes for the series' return, and most of them were actually disappointed. Personally, I thought it was neither good nor bad. While I admit the anime had its own qualities, there were moments where I skipped some of the scenes because I found it boring. People accuse the anime as being bad simply because of the 3D animation, which was added to have more depth to the characters' physical aspects, while not excluding comedic expressions. There's really nothing wrong with the animation, but I just can't get into the series because of it. 3D is more fitting for some series, but not this one. Overall, it was mediocre. As much as I love Berserk, this one didn't really catch my attention. Again, I don't think it's good or bad. It's really up to you what to think of it. Next up is New Game. Making a game is easier said than done. At least that's what this anime showed me. In the show, we see how the game industry takes their work seriously. Every detail is covered, even the smallest ones. And it's through the characters that we see how the production actually works, whilst providing us some hilarious skits that catches our attention. Yes, it's cute, but don't be fooled. Most of the jokes presented are only understood by adults or working citizens. Still, it's a comedic slice-of-life series that everyone would enjoy. I know I did. Truly an adult moe anime which would leave us wanting for more. Next, we have Ama. This show captured real-life situations in the real world. Much like Usagi Drop, this series revolves around a child and a parent living independently. However, it had so much to offer than just familial bonds. What makes this series stand out is its detail to its characters. They're not so special, but that's what makes them so detailed. In the Slice of Life series, it's always important to make the characters as realistic as possible, and this series did just that. The title pretty much sums up the whole show in more ways than one. It strikes you with its moe factor and hits you in the feels like lightning. But seriously, isn't Tsumugi just adorable? Up next, we have Re:Zero Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu. The most anticipated anime of 2016, Re:Zero gained popularity for various reasons. So what makes the series so famous that it was made into different memes? For one, it's not just a time travel anime, it's also mixed in fantasy and magic that soon established its own world. It delivered a storyline that kept us wanting for more, mostly because each episode ended with cliffhangers. Also, it makes sure that every return isn't redundant. Despite having the same timeline over and over again, not one episode is the same. And that's probably why Re:Zero is so awesome. I would totally watch it again. Next on our list is Orange. Before you say it's just another shoujo anime, then you might want to check this series out first. Sure, it has your shoujo art style and characters, but the plot is a different story. It presents to us a situation of what it'd be like if we could send letters to our past selves. If you're thinking it's just another time travel anime, it's not, really. While it does discuss time travel, it doesn't really have anything to do with the characters going back to the past. Rather, it's the idea of changing the past without actually traveling that makes the series different. So despite being shoujo, it was actually pretty decent. Next, we have Time Travel Shoujo Jomari Walk. It's too long for me to say. This is probably one of those shows that they show in school as part of their motivation. You can actually learn a thing or two while watching this. Heck, it even showed the greatest scientists and inventors the world has ever known. While moe factor has its moments, it's actually the plot that really got me into this anime. Sure, it probably looks like one of the series that they'll show on Cartoon Network, but it actually has its own unique taste. Actually, if I were to explain it, it would be like Cartoon Network and Discovery Channel all into one series. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this, even though I'm like 18, and I totally recommend you check that out. It was really good. Speaking of cute stuff, here's one anime that's really cute. A romance anime that's not too cheesy or too dramatic, but the perfect mix for a rom-com. And yes, despite it having the female's perspective, I actually enjoyed it. Another thing that I liked is actually the art style. Yes, it's a romance, but it doesn't forget the importance of the art of the anime. In terms of art, the series tops any anime of this season, of course as expected since the show is about an art club. To summarize, it was a great experience watching this anime. I wholeheartedly enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys do. Up next, we have Handa-kun. Did you like Barakamon? If you did, then you might have mixed feelings for this prequel. Sure, you see our favorite paranoid character back in action, but the settings and situations are entirely different. As a comedy, it was quite tame. There were jokes that weren't funny, yet there were some that weren't funny to begin with, but I ended up laughing at it. Perhaps that's just the mystery of Handa-kun. But if it's mystery you like, you might want Quality a Code. Wanna watch a series about a plot similar to The Matrix and the characters resembling those from Irregular from Magic High School? Well, you're in luck because this show is what you're looking for. At first glance, it might look like an interesting sci-fi series. Well, yes, but not because it's a sci-fi. There's a twist in the end, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'll just leave it for you to figure out. In terms of art, however, they could have done better, but I guess you can't expect too much from A1 Pictures. Overall, it was a good series, although I wouldn't rewatch it because I already know what the twist is and why the show is called Quality a Code. Next up is oh wait, wrong anime. Mob Psycho showed me that psychics can be just as powerful as other superpowered characters. What's more is that they showed how dangerous it can be, especially when it's triggered by emotions. Also, because the main character is in his puberty stage, his emotions grow rampant and it's difficult to control it. Having these ideas collaborate with each other is probably the reason why the show was so loved. But what I really loved about the series wasn't the OP character, it was the tantalizing visuals that helped in relaying the atmosphere of the scenes. I mean, the opening itself showed us what Mob Psycho is really all about. In conclusion, it's an extraordinary series. I totally recommend it, 100%. Speaking of OP characters, let's talk about Taboo Tattoo. Want an anime about America? You got it! This show is all about Americans going to Japan to gather tattoos. As dumb that sounds, it's actually the whole idea of the series. Now you might think this series is an action-packed series with spectacular graphics and compelling storyline. Yes, it's action-packed, but if there's one thing this series doesn't have, it's a good story. The series focused so much on action that plot building hardly occurred in the show. And when they do, they shorten the fighting scenes and add fillers. In terms of plot sequences, this anime didn't do a good job. To make up for that, however, it had characters that stood out more than it should. The side characters in the series were quirky and strong despite not having much to do with the advancement of the story. I also like how they didn't discriminate or look down on female characters. Both sexes had equal roles in the story. To be honest, I didn't enjoy it that much. Sure, there were scenes that really blew my mind, but along the way, I was just watching it and asking, what the heck is going on right now? Speaking of what the heck is going on, try Endride. To be honest, I only watched this for the ridiculousness of the plot. Characters don't stand out, sending syrup off of Final Fantasy, and don't even get me started on the animation fails. Okay, I'm just repeating what I'm saying now. I'll just leave you with this horrible opening for a series. Last but not least, Danganronpa 3, Despair Arc and Future Arc. Now this was a series I was not expecting. I'm a big fan of Danganronpa and this just blew my mind. Our favorite characters are back in two different freaking series. And it's amazing how both series actually contradict each other. But then they all come together and make this perfect combination. Truly, this is the best anime of the season. Should I say animes? I don't think that's the plural word for that. One thing I can say about the series is that you will never see the opening the same way again. And that, my friends, is the Summer 2016 Anime Roundup. Overall, I'd rank this season an 8 out of 10. Of course, it's just me who cares for my opinion. Still, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and also subscribe down there for more videos like this. But that is all from me today. This is Vanilla. Not the flavor, but just the sweet.